We are going to be heading towards the draft very shortly, so let's start to think about what those OP combos are likely to be. Bacon, where do you expect this draft to go? Because we've seen a lot of different versions across the course of today.
I think we're definitely going to see some more focus on the Baron than we've seen from Team Solo Mid, and we're going to see Grace heavily prioritized by both of these teams. I don't think either of them wants to allow their opponents to get their hands on that hero.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Baptiste will play a key role, especially when Grumpjaw and Koshka are kind of off the map. And CP Blackfeather is going to play a huge role because of Joseph. He plays a weapon or CP Blackfeather in jungle. So we're going to see a lot of jungle dueling here. And it's going to come down to who wins the jungle pick here for sure.
All right, Vox going to be the first ban taken away there by TSM. We'll see what Cloud9 is going to react with to this one. And it is going to be the Baptiste. So both Grumpjaw and Baron available for both these teams. And let's bear in mind, these two teams, they can play just about anything.
Yeah, and most likely TSM will tilt and take the... Oh, they're going to take Grace. I thought they were going to take the Baron instead, but unless they're going to... I guess they're prioritizing Grace over that Baron here. I
mentioned it a little bit last game, but Grace into Baron initially doesn't sound like a great idea because you're not really going to be able to stun him up. He should be able to rocket jump away, but once that rocket jump is on cooldown, he is a very easy target for the Grace to stun. It's the fastest movement speed versus the lowest movement speed in the game. So as long as you can wait for that jump jet, usually they're used to initiate a fight because you want to get that burst damage out. If you go in onto him afterward that, it can do so much work. And that directional shield from the Retribution when he uses his jump jets, the way the directional shield works is that it stays facing the target. And so no matter where he jumps to, that shield will be facing Baron and reducing damage.
So potentially a reactionary composition might well come out of TSM. What are you expecting as we head towards this next ban and the next picks?
I think TSM may take away Koshka because if Koshka is left open, I think Cloud9 is going to pick it up with this Baron pick here. So I think Koshka may come out as a ban, or maybe even Grumpjaw. Oh, they're actually ban away the Lyra and deny Lyra. So I think Cloud9, because Koshka's open, yep, they're going to take Koshka here. And now TSM has Grumpjaw and Adagio, so they can run Adagio, Grumpjaw, and Grace, which is extremely strong, especially if the weapon Grumpjaw. So they have a lot of options, but I think this might be the best combo that TSM might go with here. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and it's kind of the new version of that double heal comp as well, having Grace instead of the Lyra alongside the Grumpjaw. Grumpjaw will be locked in. There's the Adagio, you called it.
Ouch. So Koshka is literally going to get blown up here. Early game, weapon Grumpjaw can go toe-to-toe with her. So now they need to pick Arden probably potentially here, or Kath maybe, or even Finn, but I don't know. It's a tricky draft, and I think TSM definitely want draft here because this early game is just way too much early game from TSM here.
I love how you're comfortable to call that before the final pick has even come in here. It's just like, this is such a powerful comp that whatever is picked still just feels a little lackluster.
Yeah, well, with the Baron and Koshka especially, like it means your third pick is going to be your captain, and there just isn't really a captain that I can think of that would do enough impact against this composition.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like an Arden maybe, just because you'd be good to protect against the Grumpjaw, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Is it going to be enough? That is going to be the question asked as we head on into this game, but TSM looking to have a very strong composition. So, is the story of this game then just going to be TSM early aggression and C9 trying to temper that?
Yeah, they have to not let Baron get to the late game here. They have two gap closers. Grace, especially when she maxes Benediction, it's a range 9. She can gap close onto Baron like this. Grumpjaw also has a gap closer. He has two gap closers actually. He can eat somebody. It's a lot going on for Cloud9 to worry about here. And as long as TSM wins the early and mid game and does not let Baron scale to the late game, they can take this game all the way for sure. So I think TSM is going to take this away because they obviously want draft.
Bacon?
Yeah, I definitely think TSM just have a far superior composition. Just going to be about making sure that they execute and keep their focus all the way throughout. But because they're against Cloud9, I don't see focus being an issue for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Focus is going to have to be at a pinnacle for both of these teams. We'll see whether Cloud9 can last out the early game or whether TSM are going to roll this snowball to a victory. Let us know who you are supporting. The two most popular American teams going head-to-head. Hashtag Vainglory8 is the hashtag, but let's pass it over to our casters for our grand final.
That is right. Hashtag Vainglory8. Guys, get out there. Tweet. Let us know how much you love Munchables as well. Kieran, there are few games that I get excited for as like a matchup between TSM and C9. When we're sitting here in the lobby, it is just pure anticipation.
Gabe Vizzle going for an aggressive move here. FlashX going to try and catch him out. Gabe Vizzle versus Flash. Flash with the weapon blade as well. Oh, this is so close.
Captain on captain, dude. Gabe's got the aggro, and he's gonna get the heal. Oh, he's got the boots too. Look at him. What a player. I mean, who can make those plays? Joseph's gonna be here. He gets that Vanguard. Gabe gives him that sweet Vanguard. It's just efficient farming here as Joseph's gonna go ahead and take the fronts. Flash will move forward though. Continues. Hits him with that benediction. And should be able to get himself out of here. Flash will still have his boots if he continues to play games. But this does mean that Von C gets a clean rotation and an easy level 2.
Yeah, I mean, he was both hitting level 2 there, I love Joseph and Von C at similar times, but FlashX will trade that duel with Gabe Vizzle to give Von C the Elder Trio in the mid, so small advantages to TSM here in the early game, and again, agree with the analysts, good way to shut Joseph down in the jungle. This weapon Grumpjaw versus the CP Koshka. Grumpjaw will have a field day, and you can see I Love Joseph knows this matchup is bad for him. Already itemized into some light armor early on here, Humanist.
Oh yeah, definitely had some bad experiences with that one. Joseph knows exactly what's going on. I think Joseph's one of those guys that really understands the value of light armor, light shield more than almost anybody.
Yeah. I mean, it reduces damage by what, like 20% almost? I think Suije has the exact stat on the
20-25%, something like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant damage reduction for such a small investment of gold.
That's so good. We're having a pretty big fight to start things off, and holy Nova! Be careful there, Batman. Von C just doing mad damage onto Old School. You gotta get back. They're burning down, and he will go down. First blood to Team Soul Mid striking. And over here, it's actually Joseph trading with Flash, and Flash, one more attack would have found the kill. Would have found the second kill for Team Soul Mid. Gabe Vizzle south. Self Vanguard moves in. 1 punch, 2 punch. Looking for more. He's got to hold the lane here, so we'll have Old School making his way back out. These teams fighting quite a bit here early on. These teams fighting quite a bit here early on. Wouldn't you say, Scoundrel?
I said, yeah, they have this advantage in the early game, and they're using it so well to try and put pressure onto Joseph in the jungle. FlashX now forced to back away from Best Check. He's going to go into Joseph.
Forced to back away, but he jumps back in. Another 2-man. Holy Nova. Von C, he's grumpy. He's hangry. I Love Joseph is down. This is a Grumpjaw, dude. He's building weapon. What are you even thinking? Gabe Vizzle, make your retreat. Get out of here. Gabe Vizzle, no. Gabe Vizzle going down. Von C jumps forward one more time. Old School's there. Grumpy. FlashX gets in there, but it's Grumpjaw that finds the kill. TSM up 3-0.
Wow, what an early game start for TSM, and they're utilizing that jungle advantage they have so well, Humanist. And it's C9 making the moves. Like, TSM aren't even engaging this. They are trying to put pressure onto Flash on the retreat there, but C9 are taking these fights, and TSM are gladly accepting it with open arms. Von C again, 3-0-0 on weapon power Grumpjaw at 3 minutes into the game. Couldn't have asked for a better platform to give his team the potential to win here.
Of course he is. This is Von C on a weapon Grumpjaw, just having a field day, man. This is just like having your cake and eating it too. That hero, this build is one of the most fun to play in the game for sure.
Best Chuck working towards the alternating current. First item of choice for lane Adagio. Has denied that pick from Old School here as well. And in combination with Grumpjaw can help him put pressure onto those targets like Baron and Koshka in fights. You just have to imagine it. Grumpjaw goes in using Grumpy. Uses the Gift of Fire onto Grumpjaw, and then suddenly use the Agent of Wrath as well, and Grumpjaw hits like a truck, and somebody goes down. That is kind of the combo that we're expecting to see, and also FlashX able to provide that frontline barrier. If you thought that Grumpjaw reduced damage with Living Armor, wait till you see Grumpjaw reduce damage with Holy Shield and Living Armor. That guy is going to take nothing.
Yeah, that's not really cool when I think about it that way. That's a lot of damage reduction there.
That's a lot of damage reduction, Humanist. And that means that Von C can forego picking up super amounts of defense early. He obviously will pick up a little bit, but he can forego that for a bit of extra damage in the tank when it comes to his flat output. And that's why he's got Tension Bow now, working towards what could be a... and you imagine with those components going towards what is probably going to be a Tyrant's Monocle, this is going to be a Grumpjaw that's going to be hitting hard, and hitting hard very quickly.
Oh, he's already hitting hard, and he's gonna pick up a reflex block. Really nice pickup for him. Von C, Grumpy. I wish he would have held on to that. But anyways, they're moving up here as 3, C9, TSM, both clumped up. C9 on the back foot, on the defense here. Gabe Vizzle will throw out a flare into the left mustache brush, just to make sure that he knows exactly what's going on. But it's VonC! He comes from the top side! He's stuffed up! VonC's got the angles into the Holy Nova! Old School will be able to jump jets backwards there, boosted out by Gabe Vizzle. And Gabe Vizzle holding the fountain there as well. What a smart play.
Yeah, absolutely, because he could have baited in TSM, who might have been eager to pressure a Baron on such low HP, but I love the combo that TSM thought up there. They're actually giving a bit of space over to Joseph here.
Gotta be careful. Joseph was trying to do the damage, but VonC's like, yo, I'm still here, fam. Quit trying to make plays. I'm gonna go farm, but like if you try to mess with my lane, I'll be right back.
Chuck's just picked up his first item spike of the game, that alternating current. Didn't have that in the previous fight, by the way. Did result in potentially losing the kill on Old School as well. You just noticed that even despite that combo between the Holy Nova and the Stuffed, weren't able to get enough damage done to Baron before he was able to jump jets out. So, gotta remember, even then, when Baron overdrives jump jets, it'll be even more difficult to take out, because remember, he will just be able to then get a free reflex block from using it. So,
yeah.
I think Chuck, will now have a bit more damage. This is where TSM can look to use that ultimate and get a bit more success with it. Now he's got that more powerful basic attacks coming from the alternating current.
It's kind of messed up, because if you eat the Baron, you can't attack the Baron. That's Grumpy moving forward. VonC holding that ultimate right here, just chewing through Gabe Vizzle. Look at that. Holy Nova not gonna connect. It's Joseph making his way up into the lane. He's gonna go ahead and put some damage out onto VonC, but it's the Koshka who's been eaten up this time. Gauntlets down. Gabe Vizzle, no! He wants that one back. VonC's actually the one that goes down. VonC goes down. C9, they're back in. And the damage coming out onto Flash, you gotta respect that. Verse comes out from Best Chuck, doesn't quite connect here. And C9, they draw blood, and you can tell that they know they have the advantage here. VonC respawning now, but C9 are gonna look to get some damage out onto this turret. Flash jumps in with the benediction, lets the Holy Nova fly. Look at that area of effect damage coming out from Old School on this Baron, starting to put out pretty good damage. Is he gonna be rooted up? He gets the mid. TSM thinking about getting over to play some games, but Old School gets out at the end of the day.
VonC misses the Grumpy over the wall as well, but man, FlashX not being 6 and that engage was huge for C9. Somehow, somewhere along the line, Flash has given a little bit of experience too much to VonC, and Gabe had managed to share a bit more. And Gabe being 6 has allowed him to get that gauntlet down as well, to put pressure onto VonC, had to force the reflex block out of him very early to get through it. And FlashX didn't have the heal, and he also used that fountain really late, Humanist. I think he was looking to get maximum efficiency with it, but the burst was too much. So the fountain, despite it going through onto VonC, was completely burst through by I Love Joseph and Old School.
So much happening at once. Can't keep track of it all. I'm glad I have you here to break it down at the end. Team solo mid, dropping down. They don't have vision. They don't even care. VonC's looking for a target. Old School melting, but they've turned on to Best Chuck. Best Chuck taking a lot of damage. Back onto Old School. VonC blocks off that YCP and stands his ground. It's a 1-for-1 trade at the end. Joseph has that move speed. Is he gonna think about getting back in there? A little pouncy fun. Jukes it out. He's in there. Joseph making the plays. And VonC will go down at the end of it. C9 playing with their food.
Oh, C9, I love the way they're approaching these teamfights. They're ignoring VonC for the most part, jumping straight onto Best Chuck at the end. And so, yeah, and then basically blowing Best Chuck up with Old School and I Love Joseph. And then somehow, post-killing both carries, VonC has lost his potential to duel versus I Love Joseph. 1v1, I Love Joseph now working towards a broken myth, doing a lot of damage with that aftershock, and suddenly he's got that upper advantage when it comes to taking on Grumpjaw in a 1v1 situation, despite that level advantage for VonC. VonC didn't have any energy at the end of that fight as well, so that might have been an issue for him, but right now, C9 taking the advantage in these teamfights. FlashX also a level behind Gabe Vizzle, almost 2 levels behind Gabe Vizzle.
I love these matchups. Net worth very even for both of these teams as we approach the 10-minute mark of this game. 4-3. Kill score in favor of TSM at this point. Both teams really doing a good job back and forth. TSM, I think, had C9's number early on, and C9 kind of flipping the script here in the last few minutes. We will see a Shatterglass come out for Best Chuck, and he's going to pick up an Infusion as well. Yeah, level 8 Infusion coming out. So this is TSM realizing, like, yo, it's time for us to, like, actually stand our ground if we get into a skirmish here.
Yeah, double infusions on all carries, by the way. Von C, Best Chuck, Old School, and I Love Joseph. But Von C's very close to falling out, so this might force TSM's hand when it comes to the next team fight, because they want to make use out of that level 8 infusion they have on Von C, which was falling off before that of C9. So they might want to fight with that. It looks like they are just going to give it up and try and play a bit more passive for the duration of those infusions on C9. Von C would, I think ideally Von C, now that the piercing is there for Joseph, it might be better for him to consider some shielding, maybe work towards finishing that Aegis. Now he's got the Tyrant's Monocle, even though he's got the Holy Shield from the Grace, even though he's got the Living Armor there.
Don't you just lose though?
Yeah.
I don't mean to burst your bubble here, but
No
you're
bubble,
dealing with the Baron.
No bubble burst. There's, TSM realized, I think, that they're on a timer in this situation. They always have that potential to burst Baron with Von C and Burst Chuck able to get onto him, but it's quite difficult to lock down a Baron, especially when he's overdriven those jump jets like Old School has now. So this is going to be even harder for TSM to sort of put pressure onto C9, especially their backline.
Old School, what a talent! I think we got to take a moment and appreciate what Old School gives us. As far as just entertainment value, what a reliable and dependable, talented player. Old School jump jets up at the lane. He's going to continue to make sure he's getting as much farm as possible. Just a really, one of these players, I think that he's just consistently always in the top tier. Just Mr. Reliable.
He's just consistently good. You'd say the same probably of Best Chuck, but Old School has just shown time and time again that he's consistently very, very talented on a wide range of heroes as well. Probably got one of the largest hero pools for the lane, I think, out of a lot of North American laners.
Yeah, I think definitely we see a little bit more surprises out of Old School. Now, Benediction and forward Flash X is going to whiff on the Holy Nova. A holy whiff. And Old School continues to just get some basics out, trading pretty good damage. I hear an Ion Cannon, and that's not going to connect. It's going to be okay. Another jump in. Holy Nova either blocked off or not quite connecting there. And Old School, that's going to be his Aegis on cooldown. Got to be careful here, bud, as we move in the next few moments.
I think it's worth noting that Old School has Aegis. At this stage of the game as a Baron, has prioritized it over an offensive item like his Tyrant's Monocle, because he is just scared of that damage coming out from Best Chuck. He is really respecting the fact that he needs the reflex block and the shielding as well. This is very unusual for a Baron to prioritize a defensive item like this so early on, but Old School makes a very sensible decision to do so here.
He's a sensible man. And really, that's why I was kind of singing his praises right there. Just super smart plays. Now, Von C, they're going to get the gold miner. They're going to take Gabe Bizzle, pull him back. He's going to block off the Holy Nova. And with the Self Vanguard, can he get himself out of here? He turns around, drops the gauntlet. It's a big fight. Best Chuck winds up the verse. It's going to come through. They've taken out Old School. They get Joseph as well. Can they get Gabe Bizzle? Double kill for Best Chuck as Team Solo Mid just completely turn it up.
Man, and that's the first time TSM have found a fight where they are playing on top of an area where Best Chuck can land a team-wide burst of judgment. Massive impact. That turned the fight on its head. Just the fact that he was able to channel it and impact every single member of C9 there. TSM finally finding their way into this fight. There's Shatterglass obviously boosting the damage of that burst of judgment by a huge amount as well. Turned away for a second and you missed the conclusion of that. I mean, C9 probably felt comfortable, but man, that was so quick from TSM.
Man, C9 fans in chat, just broke back. Failed fish, not like this. TSM dropping the Craigasms, the Pog Champs. Doing it for the fans right now. And making the big plays. That was a huge play. Now, they're a little late up to this turret, and C9, they're going to grab it. C9 strike back real quick. Ion Cannon's going to come down. Should connect on the Best Chuck. Not going to do too much as, well, how about a Divine Intervention? It's actually pretty significant heal already in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, we used to talk about Lyra Adagio as the double heal. It does feel like Adagio Grace is going to become the new iteration of that. Very strong single target heals from Best Chuck and Flash X, and especially as this game progresses, the longer and longer this game goes, the easier and easier it is to keep a key target alive for TSM. Gift of Fire only going to get more powerful. Flash X probably going to shove 3 points into the the Divine Intervention. They're going to go straight for Kraken here, and actually C9 are backing. The two key carries from C9 are backing. Is this going to be enough time now for TSM to take this without contest?
Dude, you have Gabe Vizzle here, okay? This is a contest already. 3 versus 1. You better respect this man.
But I think the key point is there that TSM didn't have vision to know whether C9 were in position to contest. That might have not just been Gabe Vizzle in terms of TSM's eyes. That might have been the entire C9 roster.
Oh, Gauntlet's gonna stun up Best Chuck right here. A nice Holy Nova, though, to come out with the first. It should be blocked off, or did it connect on the stun? Best Chuck stands his ground, gets the heal, the Divine Intervention. They've lost Old School, and now on to Joseph. Run, Joseph, run. He can't get away. Pouncy Fun buys him a little bit of time to move speed, but Crystal Sentry joins the party, gets the kill. It goes to Best Chuck. Best Chuck continues to push the lane down and flash right back to business on the Kraken.
Oh, double Tyrant's Monocle finish with Von C. His single target damage, the critical strike, so good for him at this point in time. But I think you've just reached that stage in the game now where the single target heal, the ability to keep someone alive and a very impactful member of TSM alive is just too strong.
Imagine if it was an Ozo.
Weird, just insane sustain, man. Just insane sustain.
How you pull that out of nowhere? Just catch off guard. Gabe, no! Gabe, no!
It's like the ending of an anime. You're like, no, Gabe.
I got sucked into like quicksand there, something. Yeah, Gabe goes down, bro. He didn't have any items really at his disposal there. Valiant effort, but this is gonna put C9 even further on the back foot.
I also think that Old School prioritizing Aegis means that he has lost a large acceleration towards his 4-item build, Humanist. You know, that big hitting Baron build that we know that Old School would have liked to have pulled out. Suddenly he's not doing that level of damage because he had to prioritize the Aegis. I like the fact that he did it, but C9 are trying to fight without Baron at 4 items, and he's not going to put that same level of damage out.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't like that he did it. We'll see, though. Old School, much better player than I. Jump Jet's back. He's going to get the double attack off. A lot of damage coming out here. 1C, you got to get back, but the Gauntlet's down. Best Chuck stands his ground. When the first comes out, it's going to be blocked off. They don't find the stun they need, but Best Chuck turns around, finds the damage, takes out the Kashka, and now Old School will fall as well. Gabe Vizzle, last man standing, and he's stuffed up. Nom, nom, nom. TSM, they're going to play with their food here. How about a Holy Nova for style points at the end as the Kraken continues to march down these Vein Crystal turrets, and Team Solo Mid coming out strong here in Game 1.
Wow, TSM, they just found that point in the game where their single target heal and ability to keep those key targets alive through the Baron burst, through the Koshka burst was just too good. C9, the analysts were right, TSM had this draft out in a nut, and they have completely run away with it as well. Couple of early game spikes for C9, but man, Humanist, TSM played this as blinder.
Yeah, I don't know what all your British sayings mean, but I am going to assume that you are spot on, my friend. Maybe we can have our friend Munchables go ahead and translate those for us.
Yeah, what he's saying is TSM played an absolute blinder. He just kind of said the phrase wrong, but they absolutely did. Phenomenal game from TSM. I was expecting this to be insanely close, but amazingly.
Can we still get a translate on that? I'm actually like
played a blinder.
Yeah, I don't actually know what playing a blinder means.
Just means you played really well, like a phenomenal game.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a phrase that we're familiar with here in the States.
I assume it's something to do with horses blinders, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, Sweejay, what do you make of this game?
Yeah, like I said, once Vonsi had, I was pointing to Bacon, I was like, once he got the tension bow, double monocle, I was like, this game's over because there's so much burst damage along with Adagio, and every time that they jumped on in late game, Chuck did a lot of good Verse of Judgment, hit the entire team. Yep. And that kept him alive to 4-5 health. On top of the Grace heal was just so strong. Flash X rushed a Shatterglass as his third tier 2 item, and they just wouldn't die when they were low. And you can see how strong this composition is. So many gap closers. Baron just didn't stand a chance. This is the fight that Cloud9 actually won though, because Chuck, even though he got the Grace Divine Intervention, he still was deleted because Koshka was level 8 and Chuck was only level 7, and he had a lot of damage that kind of he couldn't absorb. So that was one fight that I was surprised that Cloud9 actually won.
It was actually really funny. It was right after this fight, though, was when Sweetie pointed at him. It was like, once that second monocle is finished, this game is over. And they just continued to be able to win fights on the side of Team Solo Mid. This was one where it was a really nice gauntlet, but Baron is just too far forward.
Yeah, I'm amazed how much kind of, I want to say BM came in throughout this game. Like, when teams were getting kills on their opponents, plenty of recalls channeled, plenty of emotes coming out during the fights. Like, you can tell that this is a bit of a grudge match between these two teams.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of fun and games for sure. And, you know, TSM, like I said, won the draft, and they played that early game. Old School couldn't finish his 4th damage item, and it was too late. He only had 3 damage, and I had to rush defense. He had to get Aegis, because if Adagio is burning him and and buff attacks are hitting him, he can 3-shot Old School. So Old School had to get that Aegis and just didn't have enough damage in the mid part of the game.
Now, I want to bring the conversation around toward the draft, because we have a specific statistic that we want to let you guys know about. Across the course of today, of all of the times Grace has been picked, and she's only been banned 3 times, picked in every other game, she has an 80% win ratio. That's out of 10 picks. Like, at this point, surely, if you're on the B side and you're not getting that first pick, do you not just have to ban Grace at this stage?
You might have to. It's so strong. Either that or have a composition in mind that can deal with it. That was what we saw Mouse Sports be able to do in Europe. They're the only team that was able to defeat Grace today, I believe. I don't know about the 3rd place game over in Europe or the one that's happening in North America here, but as far as what we saw, Mouse Sports is the only team that has been able to defeat a Grace.
But then Mouse Sports have been kind of far and away the best team in Europe, so is that even relevant
and
to
it was
Grace?
a carry Grace, and that just falls completely off late game. It works early game, but just doesn't work late game.
Today.
Oh right, actually it was a captain
They beat
Grace.
it
Sorry.
twice.
They did, because they had Vox. They had Vox though.
Yep.
That was the key.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether that is going to continue to be the theme across the course of today. So, outside of Grace, what are we expecting to change during this upcoming draft? How does C9 have to play that differently? Because they were kind of toe-in-toe in the early game, but then it seemed to just fall apart for them.
It was so much. It was about the burst of that Grumpjaw. We are going to be seeing the Grace banned on B side as the first ban. Vox does come through for Cloud9, which is a very strong pick for Old School, as we obviously already know. But Grumpjaw is still available for Team Solo Mid. I would expect that to come through here as their first pick.
Yeah, or TSM might even first pick Adagio, because Adagio as a lane carry is actually good into Vox, depending on his support and having like a tanky frontline like a glaive weapon or a Grumpjaw weapon, for example. Actually, they're going to go ahead and pick the Lyra, which is very questionable because Poison Shift Vox counters Lyra pretty hard.
Yeah, so Cloud9 starting off strong in terms of this draft. The Lyra, though, something that FlashX is, you know, kind of known for at this stage. We see him pick Lyra as definitely a comfort pick and something that could go into a whole host of compositions.
Yeah, it's one of his most picked heroes. It's actually been his most picked across the last 2 seasons. So it is definitely a comfort pick there. But like you said, interesting to see them put the priority on that. They're going to ban away the Koshka, so they're still trying to leave the Grumpjaw open, I feel. I would expect Cloud9 to ban that away, but then they can go into either the Samuel or the Baptiste on the side of TSM. So just really smart drafting, once again, from both of these teams, really, as we normally see. And it's going to be interesting to see what Cloud9 decides to leave up and what they decide to take away.
Yeah, and I mean, smart drafting is exactly what you expect from the 2 teams that are the best in North America.
Yeah, I think Grumpjaw or Adagio will be the smartest bans. They may change it up and ban something like Glaive, for example, but I think Grumpjaw or Adagio should be the bans coming out of Cloud9 here. Even though W has fallen off, it's still strong if you have the right composition. So they're going to ban Idris instead. So that leaves Grumpjaw and Adagio both open. So let's see what TSM's going to pick. I think Grumpjaw would be a good pick here and play Weapon Grumpjaw, and they can just play a Mage in lane here, or a CP carry in lane.
Yeah, we'll see what the option is going to be. Honestly, it's surprising to me, like, how far through the draft Grumpjaw has been making it today. We've seen a lot of bans for him, but when he isn't banned, teams seem almost nervous to pick him up. I feel like most teams have got their head around how to play around a Grumpjaw. Ringo is going to be the lock-in there.
Yeah, we saw actually Cloud9 pick Ringo against Gangstar's Rakizora's Vox and won with it. So Ringo might have a resurgence here because of the slight nerf to Vox. Ringo with Poison Shiv actually is, I would say, even. It's more of a skill matchup. He outranges Vox and definitely is stronger in the early to mid game because of that range and that attack speed that he has on his Twirling Silver. So here we have Grumpjaw open still for Cloud9. We have Baptiste open as well. They're going to go ahead and take the Grumpjaw here, and I think potentially they might go with... Oh, they're going... Wow, they can take Grumpjaw and Baptiste. Not what I expected, but nice draft by Cloud9.
And either of those could be a captain either. That's like both are viable as captains. I feel like Captain Batiste probably has a higher success rate, but you know, these are the best teams arguably in the world, so you know, we'll have to see what they're going to go with on this one.
Yeah, I would have a slight leaning towards the Captain Grumpjaw, because if you're using the Batiste offensively with just how much massive burst he can have, you can take this Ringo out of the fight, negate the healing from Lyrix. She is very good at healing sustained damage or like short bursts of damage, but these massive bursts that come out of Batiste are very difficult for the Lyra to deal with. Kestrel as the final pick. This is going to be very likely a CP Kestrel in the jungle for Von C, which means this is going to be a very exciting game.
Certainly will, and if he can run away with it like we've seen Von C do on Kestrel many times in the past, it will be a 2-0 victory to TSM. Now, Ringo actually has a 100% win rate this season in the Vainglory8. Now, he has only been picked once, but it was by Cloud9, so we'll see whether Best Chuck can kind of rub that in their faces. But looking at the compositions then, how are we feeling this draft has panned out?
I think the TSM wins the range game, but honestly, Cloud9 has a lot of gap closers. They have Batiste, they Ordained, they have Grumpjaw that can go in there, and then Vox. I think Cloud9 has a better draft, so I'm going to give the game to Cloud9 here.
Okay.
I think TSM's going to take it. I think they have the damage to deal with Cloud9. They only have the one really way of locking down a target by getting onto them with the Grumpjaw. The Ordained, you know, Batiste needs to get in range of the heroes of the side of Team Solomid to be able to put that down, and there's a good chance that if he does get that close, they can just stand their ground and fight him toe-to-toe at that range. So I do think Team Solomid should be able to have the advantage.
All right, well, we have a split desk here. Let us know who you are voting for once more using that hashtag Vainglory8. We'll see whether TSM can get a second consecutive win here in the North American Vainglory8, or whether Cloud9 are going to be able to push this to a 3-game series. Let's head on into this game.
What an amazing introduction, Munchables. You never ceased to amaze me. Just so classy up there. But yeah, guys, we are in game 2 here. TSM, if they can find the win, they can close this one out. Now, we see Gabe. He's got the Batiste early on here, Scoundrel. And he's having none of these shenanigans from Flash. He just slaps him with that bad mojo as soon as he tries to walk across the map.
Actually going to head to Mirror Flash, who wants to get a lot of pressure in lane early on here. Give Best Check and A the best opportunity to put pressure onto the Vox. Remember, we talked about in this broadcast already how Ringo is supposed to have that advantage over Vox in lane because of the ability to trade after killing a minion using your heroic perk and the range advantage that you have. I want to talk about the compositions in general though, Humanist. We were chatting about it as the draft went on. This is a triple ranged into Batiste. Very difficult to get Batiste into a position where he can use his Ordained, because he's classically pretty good at shutting down hyper-mobile melee carries like Koshka and Glaive. Not the case against triple range. He might struggle here.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could struggle to find maybe the easy Ordained, but he's still going to be a threat. Like at any time where the gap closes or TSM look to move in to finish off a target, can easily get that off. And we'll see. Also, it's going to be Joseph, you know, grabbing a target, pulling them back into a bad position. Then Ordained is beyond easy to apply.
Yeah, I mean, it works so well with Grumpjaw, but it does rely on Joseph to be able to get stuffed. And I think realistically, you're going to want to be able to use your Crucible to block the stuffed, right? That's probably the main thing that you're going to be using Crucible for. Maybe the silence from the Vox. The ideal combo from C9 would be Vox silence into an immediate stuff from I Love Joseph because no one can respond to it. Then spitting someone out into the Ordained. That would be the ideal combo there for C9. It's about getting into range to make that happen though, Humanist. You've got to get through Bright Bulwark. You've got to get from the insane range that Von C has got on this Kestrel. Triple ranged is a pretty good shout, I feel, into this kind of combination from C9.
If that combo happens, I'm just going to start yelling.
Yeah, I think I'll do the same.
just start freaking out. 2.5 minutes in here, though. We have both our laners just continuing to farm. They did have one round of shopping thus far. Best Chuck doing a pretty good job just hanging out here, but it's Old School who has a slight advantage on him. You don't see Ringo really flexing at all, abusing his range advantage early on here. Gabe, got to be careful. He's dodging a Glimmer Shot or two. Pretty good job.
Yeah, nice juking there. Makes it very difficult for Von C to line up those Glimmer Shots. Poison Shiv looks like it's going to be the item for Old School. That makes absolutely 100% sense, obviously, as you would imagine. Poison Shiv's so good at dealing with Lyra's healing, and it's pretty much a must-buy, and also becomes part of Vox's standard item build these days regardless. Like, I see a lot of Voxes in general go for Poison Shiv first. I go for Poison Shiv first.
Well, everything sounded good until you said that one, then I started to question the build.
Yeah, I mean, but Poison Shiv's good not only into healing heroes, but also good at securing single target kills against the Fountain as well. So has its uses despite even beyond healing compositions from the enemy team.
I mean, honestly, like, I think when you grab it as your first item, it is so good, obviously, into healing, right?
Yeah.
But I think as an item itself, as your first item, nothing else really sustains you as well as that. Like, just the ability for you to keep yourself in lane, it goes up exponentially just by purchasing that item.
I mean, lifesteal, weapon power, attack speed, it's like the perfect item for a lot of heroes in the game that want all of those things. And Vox is a person that wants all of those things. Just has that added benefit of giving those mortal wounds as well. So, yeah, I agree. Completely on your page there, Humanist.
Best Chuck's going to grab Tension Bow first here. How are you feeling about that?
Damn, that is a burst Ringo. This is old school Ringo, Humanist. This is Ringo before I even joined.
That's Best Chuck.
Hey, this is a Ringo build that was around before I even joined Vainglory. You'll probably remember these kind of Ringo builds. This is designed to snowball that early game, but this is probably more in line of trying to synergize with Von C, looking for single target burst. So that's why I imagine that this is a first item tension bow coming up.
This is the original Gwen right here. This is before Gwen existed. This is how you could do Gwen things.
Exactly. This is before Gwen came through, before you had the heroic perk that synergized so nicely with Tension Bow. Ringo used to do these kind of things, and I think about a year and a half ago, I was being told of times where Ringo could win games in 8 minutes with Tension Bow, so...
Oh, it's so troll. Whenever, like, a noob wants to 1v1 in lane with, like, a Ringo, always go Tension Bow first. It just smashes them, but... right here, I'm curious to see how it's going to work out for Best Chuck. 60 last hits, 5 minutes in to the 57 of Old School, so they're doing pretty good on both sides. Net worth dead even. And we're still 0-0. Goose eggs as far as the kill score. Joseph jumps in. Interesting approach there, Joseph.
I was looking for the stuffed, obviously, on Best Chuck, who doesn't have a reflex block yet, so it would have been a free stuff, though. Joseph can still make that happen under turrets, however. Bonzi not quite in the vicinity to help contest that. The Best Chuck able to get away with both his boots and twirling silver. The movement speed bonus is there, getting him out of range, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a return.
Flash takes a lot of damage. Joseph's gonna move forward. Oh, bright!
Oh, baby!
Oh, Flash X. So beautiful.
That made me happy. That bright bulwark right there made me happy from Flash X. Absolutely shut I Love Joseph down in tracks. Who needs reflex blocks when you could do it with bright bulwark? What a play there. And now TSM going to look to push off the back of that ultimate use. Fonzie has still got his one shot, one kill. Can come to lane and start to spam those abilities, but doesn't look like they're going to get much love here.
Well, not a lot of love. He'll move into the jungle, look to get some more gold. Von C, I'm excited to see what this Kestrel's going to do in the next few minutes here, as he's starting to get some pretty good CP up. On the flip side, it's going to be increasingly important that Gabe Vizsla continues to keep vision down across the map. And I'm curious to see if we do see Contraption actually come out here. I don't know if he can afford to do that. What do you think?
I mean, you feel like you need it versus a CP Kestrel, right? Especially Von C's CP Kestrel. So I'm 100% on board that I think that he should be thinking of a Contraption, but you do need to consider the likes of Atlas Pauldrons versus Ringo. But I think Contraption is probably more important just to keep tabs on where Von C is. If you let him roam without the vision control to help keep tabs on him, he's just going to absolutely destroy you in team fights. So have to see where he chooses to go. He's actually going towards a Dragon Heart, so maybe going away from that might be going towards a Crucible here.
All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on that as time moves forward.
Treads. Sorry, or War Treads, Humanist.
Right?
They want that movement speed.
I mean, War Treads actually is a very good item pickup for him, for his team. I mean, you talked about being against a range composition. If you can give your team one more tool to help get on top of a target, I say that's what you do.
I agree. I think War Treads is a fantastic item to pick up because it helps get I Love Joseph into position more effectively, helps get him to the backline to use Stuffed, gets you into range to use Ordained. I mean, this is War Treads into Ordained. It's a good way of delivering the Ordained to a ranged composition. So yeah, I agree. I think War Treads is a really good itemization choice for Gabe Vizsla when he's pretty close to getting it. They get their gold mines, so you expect within the next 50 gold, Gabe Vizsla will be securing those War Treads and looking for fights.
Ooh, Glimmer Shot actually starting to hurt here. Old School. moving back. War Tread's going to be picked up, as you said. Glimmer Shot's going to come through. One of the fronts, actually both fronts going the way of Old School. Fonzie tried to grab one of those. TSM rotating down, not able to really grab anybody, not collapsing in time, so they're just back up into the lane. We do have the rest of C9 taking the jungle while Gabe Vizzle looks to hold the lane here. He's going to throw Fearsome Shade, connects out onto Von Z. I mean, it might have bought them just enough time to keep this turret alive, actually.
Yeah, I don't know how necessary it was. I still think Old School.
No, that turret was dead if he didn't do that.
Yeah. Okay, maybe you're right. I think it could have been the case. It was very close either way. It was probably the right decision because they're not looking to fight around this point anyway, and I don't know how useful his ultimate's going to be regardless because it's all a ranged competition. The ultimate's really good against preventing their Lee engages. He's probably pretty happy to just use that to clear and buy time on the wave.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have to get into another big skirmish before that's back off cooldown, be a big win for him. Joseph with the Crystal Infusion. Best Chuck with the level 6 Weapon Infusion. Did you call that out already? That's pretty crazy.
No, I mean, that was something that's very early. I didn't actually even notice, to be honest, because it's such an early infusion for Best Chuck. Has invested so much into his offensive capabilities as well. He's picked up a Poison Shiv of his own. He's working towards what is likely to be a breaking point now, basically replacing the Sorrow Blade in his build with the Tension Bow this time around to give him a bit of extra early burst.
Pretty good damage coming out onto Old School there. No, he's not going to get baited in, doing a good job. Gabe Vizzle finds the Ordained onto Flash. Flash on the front side, got to be careful. Actually, just holds his ground as Old School taking the damage.
Whoa!
Wait, a wild ride in. The one-shot's not going to connect here. Joseph trying to fight in the damage, but quickly has to retreat. It looks like a bit of miscommunication coming from Cloud9.
Yeah, again, they didn't quite know what to do once FlashX had committed to that, and this is going to give TSM the time to capitalize on this turret and take it away. Interestingly, you don't have to get kills to win a teamfight, Humanist. The amount of damage TSM did there and forcing the Fountain made it impossible for C9 to be able to defend their turret, which ended up giving it over to TSM. Gate won that teamfight without even getting a kill because they got the net global advantage off the back of it.
I mean, that's pretty clean gameplay, and I think, you know, like a game where you have 20 kills in 10 minutes, very exciting. It's also something really cool to watch, just a really clean game like this where they're able to take objectives without actually, you know, finding kills on the map. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. This is sort of really clean, what we call in cross MOBAs is what we can really clean macro-orientated play. You don't need to get dragged down into skirmishes. You do it purely through pressure that you create. And what I love to see as well, Humanist, is they use the advantage of their composition against C9 to levy these kind of wins. I mean, C9 have got away with 2 gold mines, though, Humanist, which is still putting them in lead in terms of gold. I don't know how TSM are letting these go so easily, but they are, and that's probably something that TSM might come to regret.
They just weren't in position before. Strange positioning there. Von C actually connecting pretty good onto Old School, but it's going to be Joseph on the Best Chuck, and he's going to move in with the stuffed first blood. 11 minutes in, they finally kill Von C. You're in a tough place, bud. Get out of there. Fearsome Shade's not going to allow him to do so, and Cloud9 moving forward here. They're going to try and take the turret as well. They're going to get this turret. Scoundrel, what a phenomenal series of events here for Cloud9.
No idea what that move was from TSM, unless it was looking for Von C to get an active camo stun onto the Old School's Vox there, but I don't know what that move was, especially without Flash X. Best Chuck was completely isolated with that reflex block of his own, and so easy for I Love Joseph with this burst-orientated build. Again, we haven't talked about I Love Joseph's build here, but he's gone that Tension Bow Aftershock build that we saw Xenotech try to pilot earlier on the Grumpjaw. You leave Best Chuck alone, Best Chuck and A alone with that, he's going to get completely destroyed, and I Love Joseph managed to clean up that kill, and suddenly Cloud9 have turned things on its head. 2 gold mines that they were given for free by TSM, kept them in the running in terms of global gold, and now they get a turret as well, and suddenly they're staring down the barrel of 3,000 gold in favor of C9.
Yeah, a huge turnaround for Cloud9. Let's see what TSM are going to do in response here. As it does give Cloud9 kind of control over the middle area of the map. I mean, it's not even kind of, like, they have control over the middle area of the map. The vision is down, and there's no contraption like we talked about earlier on. Gabe's gone for different items, but he's continued to get the vision down, which is incredibly important.
Looks like TSM are trying to freeze the wave to force C9 to respond by trying to push it, and they're setting up big active camo stuns potentially here to put pressure on if C9 were to come to lane, but essentially what they're doing is they're saying, C9, you either come to us and try and play into our range advantage, or you have to start taking things elsewhere on the map, and that elsewhere on the map happens to be Crystal Sentry and TSM's backs, and that's exactly what C9 are doing.
Joseph over the wall. They're going to take the backs away as Von C was making his rotation down. A very good job, C9, so efficient here in the last couple minutes, just to deny almost everything away from TSM off the map. And what's crazy is TSM was trading like completely toe-to-toe evenly with these guys for the first 10 minutes of this game.
You would argue that TSM even had the advantage. The only reason that they gave it up is because they gave 2 free gold mines and then somehow made a play with just Best Juckane and Von C trying to somehow catch out Old School. They completely gave up what makes their composition good by getting Von C into basically melee range versus Old School, and Flash X wasn't there to help protect and peel for them.
Well, I mean, I saw the beginning of that fight, and it's because Von C lit Old School up so hard and so fast that they got baited into trying to fight. I think the problem was Best Chuck didn't commit with him at that point, but then you're just in too deep.
Yeah, he couldn't get past I Love Joseph though. That was the problem. He wanted to commit, but I Love Joseph blocked that entry, and then took out, Best Juckane solo.
Gabe Vizzle zoning here, just throwing out those bad mojos. Von C trying to connect with the Glimmer shots. He does have the double Shatterglass build ready to go, sitting on Crystal Infusion as well. There's respectable damage output. It's going to connect onto Gabe. Actually, it didn't look that respectable when I hit Gabe there.
Yeah, but it's not as good, that double Shatterglass build, because of how early I Love Joseph and Old School have itemized into Aegis. So suddenly you lose some of the effectiveness of going for a double Shatterglass. Von C's probably thinking it might have been better for me to now pick up a Broken Myth, because I'm now facing a lot of shielding here, Humanist. Old School and I Love Joseph both picked up Aegis really early on. The shielding is already starting to stack up, and that's really, really reducing the amount of damage that Shatterglass is bringing to the table as a second item on top of another Shatterglass.
I think that's a really good point. Scoundrel, my question is to you.
Hello.
TSM on the back foot here. Cloud9 have been setting the pace of the game. Should TSM continue to just wait and let Cloud9 do things and react to them, or should they start to make like an offensive move?
Well, they can't let C9 do what they want. They let C9 have all the gold mines so far, and it looks like C9 are going to be able to put pressure onto this Kraken. What is so beautiful about the way that C9 have managed to orchestrate this is that TSM now have to move up to C9, effectively getting rid of what makes their composition so good in the first place. The composition of TSM was so good because they had that big range advantage over the C9 guys, but now TSM are forced to try and move into melee range, and you can see they are actually... Oh, well.
Okay. Flash is going to take the Arcane Passage. I really don't know what to say about that, except for he seemed to be the only one that was thinking about playing games with the Kraken there. And
apologies if you can hear horns going off in the background of my...
Oh, we can. It's a bit unprofessional, but we're not going to call you out on that.
It's not me. I'm literally in a almost a hotel or Airbnb, and there's just...
You're casting from a parking lot?
I'm casting from a parking lot, and someone is honking their horn. It's happening. I just got to deal with it, really. Just like
I thought it was new in-game sounds. I thought it was actually pretty clean. First, my bubble here. I Love Joseph moves forward. Choke point turret's going to be down. Team solo mid. Feeling a bit flaccid here. That's Cloud9 just putting the hurt to them.
And again, TSM were reluctant to commit to Kraken to try and contest it because they can't they can't be the ones to engage. What they do is they win from range before teamfights take place. They do a lot of work to C9 to put them out of action, and then C9 can't commit. TSM cannot go gallivanting into the middle of a team fight like they have some sort of frontline, because they don't. They don't have a frontline. They can't make that kind of play, Humanist. They have to be saying, well, we win from range because that's what we have aimed to do here as a triple range composition. And C9, because of the control that they've got now, Humanist, is just so clean watching them play because they can force TSM to come to them. And that's exactly what C9 want. C9 want TSM to come to them because TSM then lose every advantage that their composition gives them.
So pretty much C9 are doing pretty good, huh?
They're doing pretty good, dude.
They're doing pretty well. Old School, I mean, it is a pretty big chunk of Old School's health that gets taken off from those one-shots. As we do see Piercing Shard picked up for Von C. He's got the Clockwork, still sitting on that CP Infusion. Now, there's still a chance here.
Oh, I mean, this is still moderately even. I mean, it's still definitely in favor of C9, but not a massive stomp that we saw in some of the previous series. I mean, TSM have every opportunity to make a comeback in this game.
All right, active camo's down. Actually, they throw the flare. They're going to see it, but they do stun up Gabe Vizzle as they move back. Another active camo down. We see Vainglory8 doing a good job to keep these down as Team Solo Mid continues to disengage and retreat. They've rooted up Old School, basically EU Treant connecting here. Maybe the demise of Cloud9 is actually, this is the Shades coming out. The Fearsome Shade. Gabe Fuzzle is taking a lot of damage. Best Chuck, dude, out of position. Just pulled out of position and shot down. The Arcane Passage going to buy a little bit of time.
Got blown up!
Old School just got blown up, bro. They've done such a good job to keep the vision down, but it failed them there. I love Joseph. He's actually gonna to turn around. Doesn't want to play games with Flash there. That was pretty crazy. They had really good vision the whole time, and then Vainglory8 gets an active camo down that they didn't quite see.
Joseph's struggling with this trio right here. Will eventually get it. And it was a 2 for 2, and TSM will take that kind of trade. Bestchuck made the decision in that fight that he thought it was better for him to basically run at Old School, do as much damage as possible. Maybe it might have been better for him to kite away, but that might not have set up that active camo trap that Vainglory8 had set up off the back of the portal. But what a beautiful play for TSM to keep themselves alive in this game, because had they lost that team fight, that's TSM out and we go to a 1-1.
Well, everybody likes a game 3 though, Scoundrel.
Oh, dude, especially when it's as hypey as this between two amazing North American teams.
Oh, my goodness. Team Solo Mid holding on by a thread here. Vainglory8, you know, one active camo away from losing that game. That's insane. They're going to get the Atlas Pauldron off onto Old School over here, but Old School just retreats back. We're going to have one shot connects onto Gabe. They're taking pretty good damage. That's like first Hellfire Brew I've seen. Fearsome Shade will come through, connect on the Best Chuck. Is that an echo? Fearsome Shade echo? Oh, this is the best game I've ever cast in my life. Old School stunned up. Glimmer shots coming through. Flash on the front side. Best Chuck. Come on, Best Chuck, stand your ground. Where's the trolling?
Oh,
that is OP. One shot. Oh, that's the one that they needed right here. Best Chuck wants that booty. He chases Old School down. Twirling Silver, he's got that move speed. Get in there, but a Sonic Zoom. Oh, he just trolls him out, wasting his time. The rest of Team Solo Mid starts in on this Kraken, right next to the pile of corpses.
That piercing shot has been such a blessing for Vainglory8 because he's starting to do damage again. And when he gets Broken Rift, that's only going to be even more impressive. He's got the gold ready to combine it. This will be a massive item for Vainglory8. And now you've got to the point where I Love Joseph build starting to not do as much damage as it was in the early game. This is where Grumpjaw starts to fall off. And Best Chuck NA with that breaking point stacks up so nicely and has a full metal jacket as well to complement that on the opposite side of the field that Old School has got. C9 suddenly starting to look down the barrel of a very, very powerful TSM composition.
One shot knocks that Slumbering Husk onto cooldown early on here in this fight. And it's going to be a second for Joseph. That's a pretty big defensive tool for him. As Team Solo Mid have flipped this one around. They're going to take the choke point turret. And do they hang around? Are they going to play some games? Joseph, he's stuffed up. He's got Flash. Best Chuck just hanging back on that active camo. Well, this is going to be Flash in a interesting place. Did he try to Arcane Passage and get canceled out of that one? He does make it through at the end. Vainglory8 just throws another one shot. This is TSM just throwing damage out from range. As you said, that's where their advantage lies. Fountain's going to come out with Joseph taking quite a bit of damage. Best Chuck trying to stutter step, getting pretty good job onto Old School. Old School will go down. They're going to lose Best Chuck as well. Are they going to lose Best Chuck? That was a burst heal. They get the kill. They turn it around. This is Best Chuck. This is Team Solo Mid. What are you talking about, Cloud9? What are you thinking? You cannot afford to make mistakes against a team of this caliber. Team Solo Mid turning this one around. When the Scoundrel thought we were going to game 3. No way, dude.
Oh, dude, I thought it was the case, but C9 weren't able to put enough pressure on the early game. I don't think they capitalized off that snowball enough. They gave TSM too much time. Vainglory8 was able to get that piercing shard on board, and suddenly he was starting to get through some of the shielding on the front line of C9. And TSM given too much time and space, and eventually the triple on top.
Feels bad, man, for Cloud9. I was glad we got to see at least the Echo Batiste come out. That was fun. TSM, what a crazy game, guys! I hope you enjoyed the cast. It was fun. Congratulations, TSM. Let's go ahead and break that one down. Let's go ahead and throw it over to our analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. What a game coming out. TSM taking it somehow in the end. I thought we were going to game 3. I'm a little sad that we're not going to game 3, just because I want to see more of that action. But I mean, where did it all go wrong for Cloud9?
I mean, late game, that was where it all went wrong. Team Solomid finally seemed to realize that their composition wins by poking and dealing damage before the fight actually starts. That's exactly what they were able to do down the stretch. That one big active camo play was also a huge mistake from Cloud9. It was the one fight that really kind of got Team Solomid back in this one. They had full vision of both of those active camo traps being down there, and they still portaled right on top of them and got